John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema Classics on air.
Cinema Classics is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to shows Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. And listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John
And
DeSando,
I'm Wayne Miller.
and this is
It's Cinema Classics.
and this is Cinema Classics. Wayne, let's start with a meta question.
Okay.
All right, so this is Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Yes.
So your observation. What is our fascination with this mummy stuff?
Well, it goes back to our childhood. You know, it's been nearly 100 years. I think the very first mummy movie with Boris Karloff
Yeah, right.
that looked like he had a sandblasted face. It was 1931, around the time he made Frankenstein. But I tell you, Lee Cronin, I don't think he really deserved to have his name with the title. I think he did it because of the confusion with other mummies and stuff like
and
that.
Brendan Fraser's coming out with one.
Yes, but it's not going to be released. I was reading it, not until 2028.
Oh.
But I was confused. You know, I hadn't heard about this one, and I was expecting, because I'd heard about Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz going to be in a new mummy movie, and I'm thinking, oh, is that it? But I think, boy, I haven't heard much about the production. But no, Lee Cronin does not have, I think, the background right now in movies under his belt to deserve his name above the title.
Well, he's had a couple of winners.
Yeah, one winner, Evil Dead Rises, and but still though, and he does have a knack. But John, you know, as we sat and watched this very graphically gory horror movie
Called Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
exactly. And the thing of it is, just a few. What it really reminded me of, John, and I know we'll get into
Later, and I know what you're going to say.
later on. We did the review of Undertone, and same type of thing as far as demon possession. But that one I liked a lot more because it left so much to the imagination for me.
Now, Lee Cronin's is capital G Grizzly. The second half of this thing goes way, way over the top.
Oh my God!
Peeling skin.
You're ruining my appetite. This is not something that you're going to buy your concession stand goodies, you know, candy and popcorn or whatever, because you may upchuck on your neighbor, you know. Yes, it is, especially it just goes off the rails, I think, in the last third.
Well, I'm especially happy that you were my partner for this show because you like these savage little movies about girls, about young girls who are possessed.
You know, it's so funny, and I think she was a standout in the movie, I believe. Both little girls, and particularly the little girl who has a loose tooth, then winds up plucking off, the younger sister, plucking off her teeth out of her mouth. Don't want to give away a lot.
And there's another chief motif here in it, which we won't spoil.
Oh, no.
It's a good one. We hooted.
Oh, we hooted big time because of Grandma. Yes, and poor Grandma, who is cussed out like crazy by the little girl. Oh, but anyhow, there were moments, I gotta say, John, there were moments in this movie.
The idea of losing your little child, you know, your child being abducted is the biggest horror of anybody's life.
Yes, I could imagine.
You know, 8 years later, she comes back.
Oh, and looking like this little toy that I've got in front of me here, that she's all wrapped up, and with a bad case of lazy eye, the one eye drooping so badly, but she does such a good job. It's almost like how I get such a big kick out of everything from the little robot girl like Megan.
Oh, that's your favorite.
The little vampire girl and Abigail.
And the biggest one, which we'll discuss just a bit later.
Okay.
Exorcist.
I meant this movie, and the one thing, if people, viewers, are looking for a movie, and they remember fondly, and I know we'll get into maybe some of them, which I did a lot of research on before I saw the movie, about mummy movies. If you're thinking it's going to be your typical mummy movie, think again. It is more like movies like anything dealing with the demon possession topic, like Exorcist, undoubtedly. There was, in the 70s, were ripe for movies like that. There was another good one called Audrey Rose that was about a demon-possessed girl.
And more recently, that family one, Conjuring.
Conjuring, yes, because I have that on my list. Conjuring, Amityville Horror, there were a number of the demon possession
But what we can say that Lee Cronin has done, he has taken it over the top visually. I mean, when you pour your eggs on their blood, you are doing something.
I know, and it's almost Hitchcockian because Hitchcock had a hatred of eggs. And so there were certain scenes that he had in movies. And I remember one where the villainous mother puts out her cigarette in egg yolk, or whatever. So yeah, it's, but there's kind of a metaphor there, I believe.
Well, for the hardcores, that last part of the movie is going to be terrific. It's going to be nectar. They're going to love it.
I think my niece, who's been a guest on the show, a number of times.
Planning on seeing
it? I don't know. I haven't emailed her about it.
Okay.
I was waiting for the review. But anyhow, I probably will. She'd love something like this because, in a way, the little mummy girl kind of reminded me of her in her youth.
The beginning of the film, where you have one family, and then it segues into another family, was slightly confusing to me.
Yes. Well, and particularly the role of the one woman who is the main one, I think, trying to kidnap kids. And it won't be giving it away, John, just a little bit. This is basically kind of a group of Egyptians who, over the years, has gotten somebody to take on to be the host to this demon possession of a 3,000-year-old Egyptian demon. And that's why it reminded me of Undertone, that not an Egyptian demon, but an Old Testament demon, type of thing. So that's where both movies had a bit in common with that, but I think it's a prime example of the difference in filmmaking between Undertone and Lee Cronin's The Mummy. As far as you can maybe get more dread, especially out of great sound effects, than you do with massive amounts of blood and flaying flesh and, oh my God, all sorts of stuff.
Well, with the emphasis on the gore, I found less Catholicism to go after it. You know how I usually glom onto that.
Yes, you
and
do.
I'm not finding that much.
No. You could, because it's not based on anything part of our Judeo-Christian upbringing. It's more dealing with spirits of the ancients, like Egyptian or other type of deities like that. I know the Aztecs and Incas, there's been movies made about some of their gods they worshipped, before Columbus and the Europeans arrived in this hemisphere. Various things like that, but no. As far as any spiritual connection that we could make of it, I don't think you'll find it.
And I agree with you. And therefore, it was a bit of a mess for me.
Well, trying to figure it out. But the one, of course, I read several reviews about it, and most of them, it's the same thing. Over the top with gore, that great premise, but really it's just going take out a number of potential viewers just, with some of that.
I found there were also, besides the humor that we always sickly find, I thought it kind of humorous the way they meet her, the little girl, after 8 years.
Yes.
And they're kind of like, honey, you want to come back?
I know.
This is one gruesome kid.
Oh my God!
If you've seen any of these movies, you better get out of town.
It's so funny. I'm glad that you kind of brought that up because not only movies, but particularly TV shows. And I remember one in particular, Law and Order Special Victims Unit, where a young girl who had been kidnapped when she was like 6 or 7 years old, and then is back in the family 10 years later, and it's kind of like, how do you deal with somebody like that? How do you, especially if they've been abused and horrific things done to them? And this young girl, I was really kind of surprised. I think the one thing that kind of puts me off, and it did it with the original, first time I saw The Exorcist, it's kind of like all of this stuff the girl had been through, and yet she does not have a lot of physical scars or anything that kind of shows for it, And even the little sister had plucked all of her teeth out of her mouth, and it looked like they must have gotten her dead. I know she inherited her grandma's dentures.
Well, to me, I think this is where Jack Rayner's part here as the TV reporter dad.
Yes.
Kind of negligible, I think, and as far as the movie goes.
Another impotent, worthless dad.
Yeah, right. He reminds me a little bit of Seth Rogen in his wide-eyed look.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think he's the only one, and check me if I'm right, who believes that maybe they ought to put this kid away.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the mom won't hear
not.
anything about that, and then the brother. Her brother.
Right.
But as she begins to kind of take over, basically the family, and not just take over. They have, especially the little sister and her brother that she grew up with. And I thought it was very interesting when the girl was abducted. The mom was pregnant, and so 8 years later, little 7, 8-year-old sister, who's a hoot, really. Who's a lot of fun, especially when she turns evil. And I'm thinking, is there anything that Family and Child Services could do
yes,
for this poor little girl who
really
even uses the big C word, which I've heard him use the F word, but not the C word in
Well, Wayne Miller, the movie is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. What do you recommend?
If somebody's thinking about seeing a typical mummy movie, no, don't go see it. Save your money. Wait 2-3 years, I guess, now that the Brendan Fraser movie will be coming out. But if you really like gore and horror movies, which I know some of my family
How about our
members
buddy
do.
from Lennox, Sam? She's so looking forward to it. She loves
I think
she
so.
loves this gore.
All right, she would. That's what they always say, be careful of the quiet ones.
Yes. But if you want to hear more, I can't believe anybody wants to hear more. You won't
Sure
be possessed if you go to WCBE.org, the podcast experience, and to Double Take. And you can hear more about what Wayne and I have to say about other horror films.
People will want to hear more. After all, John, it is in the top 10 of feed spots.
It is.
I'm John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with